land ICC Sydney stands, on which we meet today and pay my respect to the elders past and present. Thank you. Some important notes before we get into our session. Please ensure all devices are silenced as a courtesy to your fellow audience member. And should you have any issue with your headset, raise your hand and we'll have someone to assist you. Moving on to our first session today, powering industry transformation with Gen AI on AWS. If you are eager to learn how leading organizations are harnessing the power of Gen AI on AWS to drive innovation and reshape industries, you are in the right place. Please join me in warmly welcoming to the stage Ian Pollar, Accenture, Rodrigo Castillo, CBA, Carrie, Chiu, NBN, and Jen Jackson, Accenture. Let's give them a big round of applause as we get started.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. It's a little surreal in terms of the silent disco setup, but great to have you all here, and thanks for joining. And also, thanks to AWS on behalf of Accenture for giving us the opportunity to host today's panel. I'll get to the panelists in a moment, but just in terms of setting the scene, the theme for today's panel is around powering industry transformation, and I think it's an important time. I think many of you and the organizations you work in have been experimenting with AI, generative AI, over the last 2 years in particular. And I think it is a relevant point in time for us to sort of take stock of the learnings, what's working well, what are the things that are perhaps constraining business engagement and a path to value. So we're going to cover some of those themes over the course of the next 25 minutes or so. Perhaps just to share some initial observations. I mean, 3 things from me. Firstly, it's really important that we don't lose sight of where the business value is. And I think like any exciting emerging technology is that we can sometimes lose sight of the business value. The second thing is, in terms of the opportunity that's present, it is genuinely transformational. And so there is a risk that we spend too much time in proof of value or proof of concept, and we're not guiding the business to a mindset of how can we truly reinvent or reimagine functions, processes, new products and services. And I think in terms of the mindset and the approach has to be grounded in a few things. One, what is genuinely a North Star ambition for the function or the value chain or the process? How do you bring the business engaged into that process of reimagining, ensuring that you're thinking about all stakeholders, from clients to suppliers to employees and partners as well. The other really important point here is that our efforts in AI and realizing the value and ambition will fall short unless we get some of the enabling factors in place. So making sure that we're on the journey of addressing some of the legacy applications and technology environments, we're modernizing, we're moving workloads to cloud, and also some of the soft factors such as skilling our people or reskilling, educating them on the tools, making that available at a scale that's appropriate, and then finally making sure you've got the guardrails in terms of responsible AI. They're just a couple themes that we're going to cover in more detail, but I'm going to ask Rodrigo to introduce himself briefly, followed by Carrie and Jen.
Hi everybody, thanks for being here with us. My name is Rodrigo Castillo. I am the Group CTO for the Commonwealth Bank.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Hi, everyone. Good morning, and so lovely to see everybody here. My name is Carrie Chiu, so I'm General Manager for Data and AI at NBN.
And hello, I'm Jen Jackson. I run the global partnership between Accenture and AWS. Our partnership is actually over a 10-year partnership, and we are AWS's largest partner by double of any other partner in the world.
Wonderful. So we're going to start with a curation of learning. So Rodrigo, I'm going to ask you to start us off. What are some of the lessons learned from a CBA perspective around your AI journey?
Yeah, so I think it's been a great journey. CBA has been investing in technology and AI for a long time now. But in the past couple of years, we have increased the investment to accelerate the adoption and deployment of Gen AI at scale. That has been in a strategic strategic way. We haven't had taken the approach to go use case by use case by use case and then scaling. We know that we knew this technology was going to be transformative enough, so we started since the beginning building foundations so we can build on top and then deploy at scale. And we have now seen the benefits of that approach. We have been able to scale some of the use cases very quickly. Initially, one of our first use cases came from idea to production in about 9 months. The latest use case that we implemented, it was two sprints, which is taking advantage of all the foundations that it's creating technology, but also partnerships, educating our teams, ensuring that they have access to the tools, and that we are ready as an organization to not just adopt the technology, but also transform with the technology.
Great. Maybe Jen, if I could ask you just to build on you framing your role at an Accenture perspective globally, can you share some specific examples of customer outcomes that have been gained by the association that Accenture has with AWS?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had the pleasure in November to work with a customer that was on stage with us at reInvent. Their name is Empower, and they are the second largest retirement services company in the US. They have over 19 million customers, and they deal with, they say it's financial success for retirees, which is something I aspire to. But what they were doing is they were finding a lot of competitive pressure in the retirement services market. And they knew they needed to do some sort of transformation. And they assumed Gen AI would get them there. So what we came up with is a solution that we have with AWS called Gen AI in a box. And what we said is we're going to start to put in some fundamental pieces that every company needs to do Gen AI. We looked at technical architecture. Carrie and I were talking about it's all the basics. Security, we looked at operating model. We continued to look at RAI. In the meantime though, we ran a POC, much like Rodrigo was saying, because they knew that they didn't want to wait to get all the basics. They wanted to learn from a POC. So in parallel, they ran the POC. It was really to improve the quality of their call center agents. What did that turn into? They had an 800% increase in the efficiency of the call center. 800%. We actually thought that was an incorrect number. We have rechecked it. A 95% in the quality of the answers coming out of the agents when they called in about their complex financial services. What has that led to next? So what Empower has decided to do is they now want to build a platform for their RAI and AI solutions, which is excellent. We supported the RAI platform with them, which is now a product you can get through Accenture and AWS. But they also are now scaling to well over 40 agents. And we used a program that we have called AMP, which is a funding program that Accenture and AWS have together to unlock that kind of initial boundary to get started, which is now allowing them to scale.
Right. Carrie, just bringing you in and maybe you can share an NBN perspective here. I mentioned there's always a challenge with the excitement around emerging tech to equip the business and the technology teams with access to that new technology to experiment. How do you balance that with business stakeholders who obviously don't want to see a perpetual a state of proof of concept, proof of values, and want to start seeing return on investment?
Yeah, certainly. I think one of the most important thing is that when we're looking at Gen AI as a very exciting, and that's what Jen has mentioned, is transformative technology, and so everyone jumping and try to find use case for Gen AI, which is kind of probably not the best way to approach it. One of the most important things that how we balance that is to actually to understand the why, really focusing on the business problem and understanding how we can reimagine that process. And Gen AI is one of the tools in the toolkit. There are many other tools in the toolkit that we can actually incorporate to reimagine that process. So how we balance that is to really working closely with our business and actually have a very systematic approach to look at how do we prioritizing and also ensuring that we understand the value fully end to end and really delivering, aligning the technology with the value so we're able to bring, I always call that, bring the hype to reality. There's a lot of hype about GenAI, about the tools we use. The only way to make it real is to be able to deliver real value to the business.
Right. Jen, maybe back to you. It's only taken us 10 minutes to mention agentic, but just interested in what you're seeing globally around the application of agentic around business functions, and perhaps a second build on that is, how do you get to value more quickly?
Right. I mean, agentic clearly is the excitement of the time, and I mean, I think it was, I was reading the quote from Matt Garman the other day saying it's going to be the next, seismic shift in what we're doing together. A lot of it has started with function, and I think call center's been like the simplest, not simple, but the most widespread use case for agentic. And we're seeing it more where companies have been stuck, where they couldn't do more complex situations, where they have product information and claims that they need to do that are not just straightforward. Because what I remind everyone is, agentic is about complex decision making. If you just want to create something, go do Gen AI, but complex decision making, so when you have a call center agent trying to understand how to troubleshoot an issue with a laptop, it's been wildly successful. Especially in travel and tourism, complicated bookings. But healthcare, we're seeing a ton of interest in healthcare, especially around clinical optimization, where you have massive clinics, where you're changing staffing levels, where you're trying to predict disease volumes coming in. We're seeing that at two of our customers that are really getting strong benefit. Insurance, claims, how you manage complex claims, how you deal with adjudication, especially with weather patterns changing. We've had good use cases around that. So I'd say it's pretty broad-based. Most of our success has been in health, it's been in insurance and financial services to date. We continue to see an influx, and on how do you get to the value quicker? I would say it's a couple things. It's getting ahead of how your agents are going to interoperate. Accenture has something called Huddle. I know there are many other companies doing many things, but just making sure that you have an understanding of how your agents will interoperate, because most companies are multi-cloud, let's be honest, so having that up front and ready to go, and also then being ready just on what is the platform that you will use for your agents, I think is the other one that unlocks it a bit more quickly.
Rodrigo, maybe just back to you. In terms of some of the practical examples of how you've applied Gen AI as a tech leader at CBA, maybe just some examples of how you've used that to drive productivity and more effective work patterns?
So since the beginning, we wanted to enable all our teams with Gen AI tools and let them get used to it, adopt it, to be in contact and real contact with the technology. We deploy it to all our engineers, for example, and what we are seeing, the engineers that are engaged with the technology, using the tools, are much more productive than the ones that didn't engage as much as the beginning. We are seeing rates of productivity of 2, 3, 4 times when they use the tools. And the acceleration that is bringing to everything we do in terms of delivering new experiences to our customers, improving processes, reducing risk, improving our security. All those processes are getting faster cycles now by using this technology. And that was just enabling everybody with the tools and the practices. And now we are entering new phases where we are building more specific use cases using agentic AI to take those processes from an end-to-end point of view and reduce the cognitive load, reduce the energy some of our teams and colleagues spend in repetitive tasks or things that are not giving direct value to our customer.
And just maybe a build on that, how are you engaging the business in the design of the end-to-end processes, the ability to look at value chains, new services, delivering better customer outcomes?
Yes. So our business is sitting next to us all the time to ensure that we are driving value using this technology and that we are not spread too thin working on 1,000 things at the same time that are not going to give value or create the impact that we want to the processes or the transformation that we want. We, along with the business, define priorities, and not a big number, it's 7 priorities that everybody needs to be working on, where we think we can transform the entire organization if we transform those 7 processes that are our priorities. Everybody can work on whatever they think it's important, but we are not looking for some incremental improvements in some of those cases. What we want is transformation using the technology.
Right. Carrie, can I just ask you about the Ask NBN platform? Understand that's been a successful initiative using Gen AI. Maybe you can share more about that platform and your experience there.
Sure, I can. Just give you guys a bit of context. RSMBN is in-house developed application, and one of the important part that when we build this platform and capability is really to ensure that it has got all the security embedded and also is safe to use. So we actually did, the first thing we did is to run adversary testing to make sure that it's actually secure and safe. So once we got that, one of our very first early use case, I would say, is actually to help us to, perform a much easier, using generative AI capability to help us to decipher those complexity in our legacy platform. So we have done a huge effort on data simplicity program. And as you probably all can understand, we have our legacy data environment platform sitting, whether it's on-premise or other area, where we actually run a big transformation to consolidate those data environment and to make it more streamlined, but also simplifying the environment. As we can understand, when we're looking at that kind of transformation and migration, a lot of those, a lot of the code in the system can be very difficult to understand. So we actually, one of the early use cases actually use Gen AI to help us do data profiling, and that helps us to reduce the overall design effort by 20%. And we actually complete that program successfully and seamlessly. And upon completion of that program, that allows us to build a foundation, good foundation on data, so then we can then apply Gen AI on top of the data that we have got. So we have quite a number of successful implementation in production, especially around summarization. That's what Jen mentioned around the call center, but we're using that to summarizing a lot of notes and appointments for our operations. And moving forward with that, we also have built, and what Rodrigo mentioned about the capability and platform, we have our RSMBN sandbox environment where it's not just onboarding technical technologies to use. It's a platform that allows our business, it's actually a citizen development environment, allow business to actually reimagine their process and to think about how can they use this technology to reimagine and define and create that use case. And what we're focusing on right now is to really identify the most efficient way to have that path to production from incubation or innovation to production. And along the way, we also very much focus on responsible AI, making sure everything that we do is safe and secure. We have our risk council established. We have responsible AI assessment process to ensure that everything we do and build in our platform is ethical Yeah, it's actually quite a journey that we're taking on.
Congratulations. Jen, I just wanted to get your perspective. I guess we've already covered in the remarks of the panel, you know, the approach to take around end-to-end value chains, looking at transforming functions, not missing the opportunity to genuinely look at what's possible that can coexist with optimizing particular workflows. Interested in your perspective, just around the inevitable challenge that you've got organizations that may be funding constrained, and just to share a little bit about how Accenture and AWS can work together to unlock some of that financial constraint that may exist.
Yeah, I mean, we have a program, I think I mentioned it, we called it AMP, and it's a funding program that we've initiated together really to get through what I call the double bubble cost. I think we all know when we're starting a large migration, especially if there's a lot of legacy applications, maybe you have a lot of data. We were talking about this earlier, the hard work of data and disparate systems that you need to consolidate. You know, modernizing that work but still running legacy is expensive. Like we all know that, right? You're running basically two systems. You've got legacy, you're moving to cloud, your cloud costs are climbing, your legacy exists. And the AMP program that we have is designed to evaluate, you know, once you modernize and start running on AWS, if your return is substantial, AWS will help fund that portion. And it's been wildly successful for many of our customers just to get them the head start. Even when we have customers that are looking to build build a platform for their generative AI platform or agentic platform, that initial stand up is costly. And so we work together to jointly evaluate to make sure it's the right business case. We're lucky enough that AWS supplies us with architects and business case architects that build out the entire business case, which one should have anyway before starting on that journey. And we really work it together to see if it qualifies. It's been wildly helpful. I think we have over 25 customers that have qualified for the program. So I think it's something, if you're starting on your journey, to definitely evaluate.
Great. Just maybe now shifting to skills and talent development, and Rodrigo, only a few months new, the Seattle Tech Hub that the bank's launched. I know you've been core to that. Tell us a little bit about the objectives of that hub and what you hope to achieve through it.
Yeah, we opened the Seattle Tech Hub back in March this year, and it has been a great success. The idea behind it is we have rotations of 3 weeks for our engineers to go to Seattle. We want Australia to be in the forefront of the creation of technology, not just adoption of technology. And what we have been doing there is connecting with partners like AWS, where we go and co-create some of the products, some of the features that will be available for everybody in the AWS platform, but some that are specific to us. And some of the teams are here. I saw some of them, so you can ask to them what's their experience. But it has been great to connect with the people that is creating these global platforms and sitting next to them, co-creating products that are going to be helping our customers has been an amazing experience. We have seen the dynamics change. We are deploying to production some of the things that we just saw in March, and that are going to be available for customers in the next few weeks. We are seeing the close collaboration with those technology global hubs like Seattle to bring a completely different view of what is possible, and it's helping us to accelerate that. And again, what we want is Australia not to be following and adopting technology, but be in the forefront of the technology, operating at the edge, co-creating solutions for the global industry, but that are beneficial to our customers as well. So having the ability to drive what is important to our customers, to our communities, to our colleagues, it's an amazing advantage that we have, and that's what we are getting from the Seattle Tech Hub.
Great, thank you. Maybe just to close out, we've got a few minutes to go. Just each of the panelists, maybe starting with you, Jen, what would be one piece of advice? Again, this is free advice, so all caveats appropriately applied. What would be one piece of advice you'd give to the audience around accelerating transformation through Gen AI?
Well, I think it's what Carrie and I were talking about earlier. You know, I've seen a number of customers who've almost been tricked into being told that they can start on their Gen AI or agentic journey through synthetic data or modeling portions of data, and then they start to build out their Gen AI factories or COEs, and they get stuck because they actually still have most of their enterprise data legacy, all over the place, not well organized in the cloud. And if you don't actually modernize your data, do your data profiling, do the hard work, then you will get stuck. And I think just taking care of your data early and maintaining and centralizing is the way to unlock that value more quickly.
Me? So I think we talked a lot about technology, security, responsible AI, value, but one thing I think is so important is actually people. I really think AI literacy, collaboration, I think what Rodrigo, you mentioned, that connecting the people with the creator and actually bring that back, super important. And making sure that actually responsible AI, understanding what that means and how to apply that in everything you do day to day. Education is so important. So to me, I think it's the people.
Yeah. And from my point of view, we have, I think, passed the stage of experimentation and testing. We are now going to be focused on deployment at scale to transform the organization, the customer journeys, and create better and greater experiences for our customers. And so I think that will be the focus now. Forget about, we will still do experimentation, but now it needs to be deployment at scale to get the most of the value of this technology that can get our customers and our organizations and our colleagues in a much better space.
Yeah, great. Look, maybe just some final comments from me. Look, I think one of the things that really interesting, because technology is often the leader of applying, testing, assessing the value. And I think that we're at a critical stage where I think the technology functions can actually lead to drive productivity initiatives and monetized outcomes for the business to demonstrate the proof points that perhaps some of the business leaders are a little skeptical about in realizing. So I think it's a really important role for tech to step up and I think take a leadership position and show the way in terms of new ways of working, embracing the tooling, new operating models, reskilling the workforce, and redesigning how work's done. So look, we're at our conclusion. I hope you found the panel valuable. Myself and a number of our Accenture colleagues will be here. We've got a stand on the floor just over near the food collection to my left. Happy to pick up on any of the discussion items, but why don't you join me in thanking the panelists for the panel today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team, for that wonderful